The big game is fast approaching, but wait, you still haven't got your tickets. You've spent hours searching, but you're still confused about ticket prices. Time to stop searching. Visit ticketcompare.com. We compare ticket prices for all the popular leagues and tournaments for you. We work only with the most trustworthy sites, so you can have peace of mind when buying your tickets. Compare prices, buy tickets, get to the game. Ticketcompare.com. Buying tickets made simple.
Hi Roy. The dreaded question, injury news.
Yes, well, I mean, obviously we were very disappointed to lose Jeffrey Schlupp in the last game because he was out for a long time after the Brighton injury and did so well to get back. So we're disappointed to lose him again. We still have doubts on James Tompkins and Jurgen Sørloth. We'll check them tomorrow, but they are still very much doubts. As unfortunately Connor Wickham is today, because he played for the under-23s and scored on Tuesday, but unfortunately today he's picked up a minor groin strain. We hope it's not going to be too serious. It sometimes happens when you're protecting a knee and you've been out for a long time, you pick up a soft tissue injury, so it looks like we won't be able to use him. But luckily, all the people that have been away on international duty have reported back fit and well.
Fans were worried yesterday because they didn't see a picture of Wilf in the training pictures. Is he fully fit and raring to go against Liverpool?
Well, no, he's not really been doing any training with us to any great extent because obviously we're nursing the knee problem that he has. But he, like James Tompkins and Jurgen Sørloth, Alexander, Jurgen with his father, Alexander Sørloth, he's one we'll have a look at tomorrow. We hope that the knee will be okay, but we've had to be very cautious with him after the Huddersfield game because really he came back from injury a lot earlier than perhaps he should have done.
Must be very demoralising for Connor because obviously he said yesterday he's really looking forward to getting back in the squad, and then for that to happen, I mean, I expect he's very low.
Yeah, he's had so few training sessions with the first team because when he was actually declared mechanically fit enough to join back in training, he started off working with the other 23. So he's done so few sessions with us. He must be absolutely devastated now to have got himself that close and now faces another little spell on the sidelines. But I'm hoping it won't be that bad and that we will see him before the end of the season.
And you had a fresh face, a new face in training this week, Eddie Jones.
Eddie, yeah, well, Eddie's incredible because he's got an enormous interest in coaching and leadership, and we know each other a little bit, and I was delighted when he said that he would like to come and spend some time with us, and it's always very interesting to pick other people's brains really, because when it comes to rugby and football, they're both team sports. The actual game itself differs, but I think being a coach or a manager for a rugby team or a football team, there are so many similarities, and it's really good to sort of compare notes, as it were.
And did he get a chance to speak to the players as well?
Yeah, I mean, of course he spoke to all. I mean, all the players are very polite here. They obviously know who he is. All of the players introduced themselves to him and shook hands, and I think he had a quick word with one or two. But basically, it was a question of watching a little bit of the training, and more importantly, having some lunch and a chance for us two to spend some time together, because it's been a while now since we could do that.
It was a great win against Huddersfield. Did the international break come at the wrong time for you?
No, we had a very tough time. We had a lot of very difficult games. The win against Huddersfield was important because it broke that losing spell. Even though it was a losing spell, we didn't actually have the feeling that we were playing that badly. We thought we were a little bit unlucky in one or two of the games we did lose, especially when you consider the quality of the opponents that we faced. But it was nice to win that game, and it left us a much smaller group of players to work with, of course. But we were still able to do some work with those players, and most importantly, the players we sent away, they got games with their national teams, and they've all come back fit. They're the most important things, I think.
You were so close against Spurs, then Manchester United, such tough last-minute defeats. Is this game against another top side a game you're relishing?
I relish all the games, strangely enough, because, I mean, there are only 38 of them, and I don't actually do that to sort of, this is one to look forward to, this is one not to look forward to. I think you've got to look forward to them all. I think you've got to go into them all believing you've got a chance of winning the game. I think every team in this league is going to cause you problems and ask a lot of questions of your team. And of course the ones with the better quality players, they ask even more questions than some of the others. But we look forward to them all. But there's no doubt that for the Crystal Palace fans, and what they did really was quite incredible. To take themselves off to Huddersfield on a weekend, as it turned out to be, and give us the support that we needed from them in that game. This is almost the reward, as it were, for all of those loyal Palace fans, the ones who follow us home and away, because of course the games against Tottenham, against Man United, Chelsea and Liverpool, Arsenal, they're the games, I suppose, really that excite people. Left out Manchester City there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've had such a long managerial career, but there is something special with the Crystal Palace fans, isn't it? There's something about them.
Yes, yeah, they're really very, very good. I think a lot of clubs have good fans. I don't think we can lay claim to being the only club that has good support, but I think it's that fine line, if you like, between the word fan and the word supporter. I think that we've got really good supporters because they've been used to supporting this club through not only good times but also many bad times, and I think I always get the feeling with them that they are supporting us and they are behind us even in those moments where we aren't in the ascendancy, and that's a very, very important factor, because I think a lot of managers will feel with their crowd and their supporters that they're great all the time, things are going well, but the moment things don't go so well, they won't be as supportive. And we I think at Crystal Palace are very fortunate that we don't seem to suffer from that in the same way.
Christian Benteke wasn't in the latest Belgium squad. It was obviously a huge disappointment for him. Have you spoken to him during the international break about that?
Not specifically. The fact is, he needs, and he knows that he needs, to play as well as we think he's playing at this moment in time. I think his form is very, very much on the up. I think if the national coach Roberto was to watch his performance in particular against Huddersfield, but even the performances against the Tottenhams and the Man United, he'll be seeing the Benteke that he knows and has obviously selected in the past and believes in. I think Christian, all he needs to do really is to keep showing us what he's been showing us in these last few weeks, which, probably he wasn't able to do a couple of months ago.
He's just said to me as well that he thinks his all-round game is better than maybe from the last few seasons, but he admits he needs to score more goals. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with it entirely. His defensive work over the last few games, and if you really analyse the Huddersfield game and watch that closely and watch what work he did defensively, I would defy anybody not to be impressed by it. The work rate, his understanding of the task as well. So there's no doubt he's improving in that area. I think that he's a bit of musical accompaniment. And then I've lost track of what I was saying, but I was talking about his defensive work, but even his hold-up play, his ability to bring other people in the game, his runs and his movement, really all the things that we were hoping to see from him and have been working on, I believe we're now seeing. And of course, if he can add a goal or two or an assist or two to that, I'm pretty certain that when Roberto and his staff watch him during the coming games, they'll see the Benteke that they know and want. And all Christian can do really is to produce those performances in the first hand to keep his club, the people who pay his wages, keep his club in the league, and then hopefully get the reward that will be recognised by his national team, and he'll get a place in the squad to go to Russia.
One more from me, and it's on Liverpool again. Would you say they're the same level as Tottenham and Manchester United? Oh, and do they have something maybe a little bit different compared to those sides, what you're going to face?
Well, all the teams are different. They've got different players, and the managers are all good managers, and they get the best out of the players by playing in a way that suits those players. I certainly would put Liverpool up there at the same level and the same degree of difficulty for teams like us if you're talking about getting points from the game. But obviously they play a different style of football to the other two. But the one thing that all three of those teams do, and you can add Man City to that, you can add Chelsea and Arsenal to that in particular. They're all such good teams with such good players that it's very, very hard to find chinks in their armour, one, and B, even more importantly, it's not easy to stop them scoring and playing against you because they've got so many good players and they're such a well-organised unit. So Liverpool, we know, will be a great attraction for our fans. It'll be a very exciting moment for them to see Liverpool and see how well we can cope with the problems that they create. And we are aware that we are facing a team that not only are vying for a place in next year's Champions League and look like getting it, we're also looking at a team which are still in the semi-finals of the Champions League, and who knows how far they're going to go.
Roy, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Adam.
Thank you.
Roy, how do you go about stopping Mohamed Salah this weekend?
Well, it's the usual question, that coaches receive through the years. I mean, the fact is, the only way you can stop quality players is by the collective work that your team is able to do. It's preventing him from getting the service that he needs to do his magical work in and around the penalty area. Being aware, of course, of all the qualities that he has and the type of player that he is. And then hoping, I suppose, that when the odd chance, which I'm certain he will create, either by himself or through team play, comes his way, that maybe he doesn't take it. Now this year he's been taking a lot of those chances, but you always hope as an opponent that, you'll restrict the chances to the bare minimum, but the odd one or two that sneak through the net and do present him with an opportunity, he's not going to take it.
Is it significant that this is the last top six side you've got to face this season?
No, not really. I mean, it's you sign up at the start of a Premier League season to play all teams in there. There's 19 other teams apart from yourself. You're going to play them all home and away. I try not to compartmentalise the games to that extent. Obviously, you are in the league to play those top teams. They are the exciting moments. I'm certain if you ask the Crystal Palace fans, what excites them about us being in the Premiership, amongst other things, is the fact that they get to see their team lock horns with these top six teams that we're talking about. But as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the last 7 games that we have to play. We've hauled ourselves out of the absolute bottom zone where for a long period, the first maybe 12, 14 games, we were pretty much marooned in the bottom 3. We've pulled ourselves out of that and have now got ourselves in a group that are trying to avoid relegation. And each and every one of these 7 games and each and every point of these last 21 that's available has got to be hard fought. It's got to be something which we give up really with the last drop of sweat and blood that we can bring to the game, because who knows what point from those last 7 will be the point at the end of the day which keeps you just above the relegation zone.
Are you in as good a position as you can be going into the 7 games in terms of squad mentality? And
well, had it not been for the enormous injury crisis that we've suffered, we might have found ourselves a little bit higher up even earlier. And I still think our squad, unfortunately, is very thin on the ground, because there are still as many as 7 players who, basically are not available to me, and I can't replace them. So, we can't deny that situation. The bench, for example, and the sort of players that we have at our disposal to change the game is probably not as good as it was, or certainly could be, were those other players to have remained fit. But given the fact that we have what we have, I'm more than satisfied that we've got a good chance still of avoiding relegation.
just on Wilfred, is it a frustrating time for him, given that he can't train properly?
Well, I think that it was fantastic that he made that performance against Huddersfield and did what he did there and showed what he showed there. We were expecting him really to be out probably for at least another couple of weeks and maybe be fit for the Bournemouth game. That was the original sort of plan. So everything he's doing at the moment is a bonus. But we are having to be careful because the knee isn't what it should be. And we are grateful to the Ivory Coast for recognising that as well and not forcing him into friendly action. I don't think he'd have been able to play, but it's been good at least that he could stay here with us and get the necessary treatment, and we can monitor him and move him on in a controlled way, because obviously we would like him to play each of these last 7 games. But as I said at the start there to Michael, we'll have to wait and see tomorrow how he feels, what the medical people are telling us, whether or not the Liverpool game will be too early for him or whether he can take part.
Okay.
Hello, Roy. Sorry for me. What does it say about the work you've done here that when you've lost to some of the top teams, it's been by very narrow margins, and Liverpool won't necessarily come to Selhurst Park thinking that they're guaranteed the 3 points?
I think that probably the top teams these days, I'm not sure they do that anymore. You know, I think they are so professional, they are so aware also of the pitfalls that the teams below them can cause, that I don't think that you ever get that sort of situation anymore where teams will underestimate you or there'll be a degree of nonchalance or casualness about their approach. We certainly haven't seen that with any of the top teams we've played so far, and I certainly don't expect to see it from a Liverpool team, having seen them play a lot this season. So as far as we're concerned, I do think that staying competitive and making certain that in every game we are in it to some extent, and whatever happens we aren't going to A, throw in the towel, B, we aren't going to give up even if we go goals behind, and C, we are going to keep believing in A, the way we try to play and the work we do, and we're going to keep believing in each other. The players are going to keep believing in themselves and their teammates. Now then you've got to hope that will take you as far as you want it to take you. In our case, our goal is a very simple one. We want to be in the league next year. For Liverpool and those sort of teams, they'll have the same type of aspirations as I have with Crystal Palace, but they need to be winning trophies and being in the Champions League spots. But we're satisfied, I think, at the club and the players with what they have been doing and what they intend to still do. But of course it's a nervous and anxious time, because I'm afraid none of us can guarantee success, and none of us can guarantee that we'll achieve our goal. And the really dangerous situation is if we start believing that our run-in is better than others, that our players are good enough to keep us in the league, so that means you won't go down. Because quite frankly, I don't know any of the teams that we're competing with who couldn't say the same thing, that, you know, our players are good enough to keep us in the league. You know, we will be too good to get relegated. We're just one of that group of teams where whichever 3 of us get relegated, people are going to say, actually, we thought you were too good to get relegated. We thought your players were too good for that.
It was an important win against Huddersfield, and also there was a clean sheet in that match. Would it be too much to ask for another one on Saturday?
Well, we always ask for it. We don't always get it, but I mean that is always the goal when you kick off, and it's certainly anything we discuss and talk about will always be based on our defending, succeeding, and keeping the opponents at bay. But it's easier said than done sometimes against quality teams like the ones we're playing, because they have individuals that they can unlock even the tightest knit defences, and they're capable of beating not just one but sometimes 2 players to get themselves the space that they need to score the goals.
And I know you don't often like to make these kind of judgments, but Mo Salah, is he one of the best players in the world at the moment?
Well, he's certainly showing that this season. I mean, I never worked with him or haven't really seen his work close up. I can only watch him like the rest of the football fans and the people who follow the Premier League, and he must be delighted with the season he's had, and at the moment there's no doubt that he deserves to be put in that bracket of players who are amongst the top players in the world. And of course, I think, did Egypt qualify for the World Cup? They did, didn't they? They did, didn't they, this time? I lose track of that. So he'll have a great opportunity, won't he, at the end of this season, to finish the season maybe as the top goal scorer in the Premier League and win the Golden Boot. That's a tremendous achievement. To have great success with his team, both in the league and in the Champions League. But then, of course, if he really wants to say, I'm up there with Messi and Ronaldo, he's got the World Cup to be his platform. So he's got a really interesting couple of months ahead. I hope he starts after Saturday, but we never know.
A final question from me, sorry, I'm mentioning the World Cup. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, do you think there is still a chance for him to be part of the England squad?
I see no reason why not. He's fit again, he's available for selection, he's playing extremely well in training. He's playing in the area of the field, the one area of the field where I do have some sort of freedom of choice and a wealth, if you like, of players from whom I can choose. But I'm really, really pleased with him, and seeing him every day just reminds me how much we've missed these last 3 months when he's been ruled out of action for us. If he stays as fit as he is at the moment, gets the game time, which I know he's going to be getting between now and the end of the season, I would like to think he'll be a candidate amongst the many candidates Gareth Southgate has to choose from. But I have no doubt personally that in terms of his physical capacity, the fact that he's free of injury, there'll be no obstacle to him being selected in that area. So it'll be quite simply a case of whether Gareth thinks he wants him in the squad of players he's taking because he thinks he's one of the best 23.